Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my NFL DraftKings picks for the Thanksgiving Day slate on Thursday. It's a 3-game slate. NFL always does this. They have a 3-game slate on Thanksgiving. We got the Lions versus the Vikings, the Cowboys versus the Chargers, and the Redskins versus the Giants. I'm going to go position by position, hit on the guys that I'm going to be looking to target on this 3-game slate. Obviously, it is a small slate, so you can pretty much play anybody. There are definitely more optimal plays at each position. Those are the ones I'll be sure to hit on. But if you're looking to take down a tournament on a 3-game slate, you're probably going to have to get a little different, play guys that nobody else is going to be playing. So I'm going to try and talk a lot about ownership, at least. Talk about the guys that I think are going to be the more popular plays, and then the guys that people probably aren't going to be playing. So yeah, like always, guys, make sure you drop a like on the video, and be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. If this is your first time checking out my channel, I do really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're going to be playing NFL DFS for Week 12 on the Sunday slate, I did upload my NFL Week 12 first looks of the slate. Uploaded that Monday afternoon. This video will probably be going up Monday night. So make sure you check out that first looks video if you did not get to see it. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get started looking at this slate, looking at some quarterbacks to target. Alright, so at quarterback at this position, up top here, we've got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is definitely your most optimal play here. If you can pay up for him, he's the best play on the board. He's going up against the Giants. We know the Giants can't really stop anybody. So Cousins is definitely the guy to pay up for. If you're going to play cash games on this slate, I would say Cousins is your guy. Now I'd say the next guy maybe, for at least for cash games, would probably be Case Keenum. I really like this discount you get off of Cousins. Saving $1,800 going down to Case Keenum, who has just played really well lately. The Vikings have already said they're going to continue to ride Case Keenum. They're going to continue to start him as long as he's playing well. But that is one thing to note. If Case Keenum does struggle a little bit, they do have Teddy Bridgewater active, and Bridgewater could possibly come into the game if Case Keenum does struggle. But with the way Keenum's been playing lately, I think they're going to continue to ride him. So Keenum at 5,300, him and Kirk Cousins, I think there were probably the two optimal plays. I definitely think you want to pay up for Cousins at this position, at least for cash games if you're playing cash. Now for tournaments, everybody is viable. It's a 3-game slate, so we really have 6 options, maybe 7 if you want to get a little frisky and play Bridgewater and hope that Keenum gets benched. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. So Cousins, Prescott, Rivers, Stafford, Keenum, and Eli Manning are 6 options at quarterback. If I'm going to rank them when it comes to ownership, I say Cousins is going to be the most owned. And then I'd say maybe Stafford will be second, then Keenum, then Prescott, then Rivers. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Phillip Rivers here. Him and Eli Manning are probably going to be the 2 lowest owned guys on this slate. Definitely more of tournament plays. If you're playing cash, you want to play guys like Kirk Cousins and Case Keenum. But like Rivers, Prescott, and Eli Manning, I don't think these guys are going to be heavily owned. I don't think Dak's going to be owned because I feel like if people are going to pay up, they're just going to go up to Kirk Cousins. And Dak looked pretty bad Sunday night against the Eagles, really struggled in that game. He's coming off a really rough game, and the Chargers do actually have a pretty solid pass defense. So I think if you're paying up at quarterback on the slate, go up to Kirk Cousins. I don't really have a ton of interest in Dak and Phillip Rivers. I think Matthew Stafford in that 6K range will probably be the guy to target, even in a tough matchup against the Vikings. Stafford just throws the ball a ton. He's been so consistent just as of late and pretty much all year. Just looking at his game log, his last 4 games, 21, 25, 22, 19 DraftKings points, been really consistent, 45, 33, 26, 31 passing attempts. So Stafford's going to throw the ball a ton. He's playing at home where he's played well throughout his career and through this year. Stafford's averaged 21 DraftKings points at home this year. So good spot for Matthew Stafford. He's the guy I would go to in that mid-range. If you're paying up, go to Cousins. And then if you're going for value, I would definitely have Case Keenum over Eli Manning. I doubt I'm going to be playing Eli on the slate. Eli just doesn't really move the needle for me. Doesn't have a ton of upside. So yeah, that's pretty much it for quarterback, guys. This video is probably going to be pretty short just because there aren't a lot of guys to talk about. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to running back. Alright, so at running back, we've really only got one stud here, Melvin Gordon, 8,100, going up against Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott would be our next stud, but he's suspended, so we can't play him. Chris Thompson's injured, so the next most expensive guy is 5,200, and that's Jerick McKinnon. So Gordon is really the only running back we have to pay up for, and I think you definitely want to pay up for him just because it's a 3-game slate, especially if you're playing cash. Do not fade Melvin Gordon on this slate. The dude is still a workhorse back, even though he hasn't really been performing like it lately. He's still getting a ton of touches every week, 20-plus touches, at least when it comes to rushing attempts. He's involved in the passing game as well. And he definitely has 20, 30, 40-point upside just to ruin you if you don't play him on the slate. We've seen that kind of upside that Melvin Gordon has. So obviously, paying up for him is going to be a smart thing. You want to do that this week. I think there's plenty of value at positions, so fitting in Melvin Gordon, definitely think you want to do that. Looking in this 5K range, there's about 4 running backs here. I think the 2 running backs that make the most sense. First off, Samaje Perine at 5K going up against the Giants. Chris Thompson's done for the season. Rob Kelly is out as well. So Samaje Perine is going to be heavily involved in the Redskins running game. He's their number 1 running back now. He's going to see a ton of rushing attempts. He's going to see a ton of work. He saw 23 rushing attempts in their last game against New Orleans. Also got 2 targets as well. So was kind of involved in the passing game. Had 22 DraftKings points in that game. So Samaje Perine, he's probably going to be the next most highly owned guy, I would say. Him and Melvin Gordon are probably going to be the 2 most owned running backs. So if you're playing cash games, those will probably be the guys I would target. But there are definitely some other options here. Latavius Murray has been playing really well lately for the Vikings. I definitely would prefer him over Jerick McKinnon if you want to go to one of the Vikings running backs. Murray's just been heavily involved. He's getting a lot of rushing attempts. He's been scoring touchdowns as well. In his last 4 games, 18, 19, 17, and 15 rushing attempts. Not very involved in the passing game, but Murray's getting the goal line work. He's getting the touchdowns. So if you want to go to him here at 4,900, I think he definitely makes a lot of sense. I would probably prefer Samaje Perine over him if you're just choosing between the 2, but Latavius Murray, definitely think he's going to be an option we want to target. Then Alfred Morris, 100 less, going up against the Chargers. I think Alfred Morris, also another guy you want to consider here. He's probably going to be another very highly owned play, just because the Cowboys don't really have any other running backs. Alfred Morris and Rod Smith are really the only 2 running backs that the Cowboys have active. Derek McFadden was a healthy scratch on Sunday against the Eagles. So Morris is going to be their number 1 back. He saw 17 rushing attempts Sunday night against the Eagles for 91 yards. So if he's going to continue to see close to 20 rushing attempts and he's only 4,800, I think you definitely have to consider him here, especially with how good the Chargers' pass defense is. They could lean a little bit on the running game here. So I like Alfred Morris at 4,800. I think he makes a lot of sense on this 3-game slate. And the last running back I want to talk about is Orleans Darkwa at 4,600 going up against Washington. There are definitely some good options in this 4K range like Darkwa, Murray, Alfred Morris. These are guys you're going to want to consider. Darkwa has also been seeing a lot of work lately. Last game against Kansas City, got 20 rushing attempts for 74 yards, had a couple of targets as well, so was kind of involved in the passing game. Got 17 DraftKings points, did score last week against Kansas City. So I think Orleans Darkwa is going to be another guy we want to look at here at 4,600. He's pretty much the number 1 back for the Giants. He's been getting all the work. So I think if you are going to that range at running back, he would be the guy to target. And yeah, that's pretty much it for running back. I'm not really going to be looking to any of these other guys. I think the guys you want to target here, obviously Melvin Gordon, he's the best play at running back if you can fit him in. I think you want to. And then this 5K range, Samaje Perine, Latavius Murray, Alfred Morris, Orleans Darkwa, I think all these guys make sense. I would prefer all of them probably over McKinnon. And Austin Eckler, even though he had a really solid game last week or the week before that, he wasn't involved at all in the Chargers' last game against Buffalo. Melvin Gordon pretty much got all the work in that game, so it doesn't look like you want to consider Austin Eckler here. I don't think we really need to get cute and go to Amir Abdullah or Theo Riddick. Maybe Theo Riddick if you're playing like a GPP with a ton of people in it. Riddick does have some value on DraftKings because it's full PPR. He does catch a lot of passes, but that's just a tournament play. If you're playing cash games, don't go to Theo Riddick. The plays that make the most sense at running back is to pay up for Gordon and then go to like Perine or Alfred Morris or Orleans Darkwa. Target some of those guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver. All right, so at wide receiver, up top of this position, we've got Adam Thielen, 7,600, going up against the Lions. I think Adam Thielen's another guy you want to pay up for on this slate. You want to try and fit him in. I think it is actually pretty easy to fit in guys like Thielen and Melvin Gordon. There is a ton of value on this slate. Adam Thielen's just been playing so well lately. He's shown a ton of upside just in his last 3 games, 20, 33, and 27 DraftKings points, 10, 12, and 9 targets. Has scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. So if you want to go Adam Thielen and pair him with Case Keenum, I think that is definitely a viable strategy on this slate. I would probably prefer him over Keenan Allen if you're going to be paying up for a receiver. Keenan Allen is coming off a very good game, though. Last week against Buffalo, just totally torched them. For 43 DraftKings points, got 13 targets for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. So coming off that game, I think Keenan Allen might actually be higher owned than Adam Thielen because a lot of people are probably going to be chasing that game. Keenan Allen did see a crazy high increase in price. He was 5,900 last week against Buffalo. Now he's 7,300 today. So I think if you're going to pay up for receiver, just go up to Adam Thielen. But Keenan Allen is definitely in a good spot against Dallas. If you can play him and Thielen, I think that's viable. I think you definitely want to do that if you can fit both of them in. Sterling Shepard's questionable against Washington. Don't think I'm going to be on Sterling Shepard even if he plays. I doubt he does play because it's a short week. I think if I'm going to pay up for receiver, I'm just going to go up to Thielen or Keenan Allen Don't think I'm going to be on Sterling Shepard, even if he does wind up playing. Really tough matchup with Josh Norman, so I think I'll shy away there. And then in this 6K range, some options we can target here. If you're going to this range, I think there's a play that I definitely like here, and that's Golden Tate at 6,200 going up against Minnesota. Tate does play out of the slot, so he will be able to avoid Xavier Rhodes. And I feel like Xavier Rhodes can probably shut down Marvin Jones, so that could free up a ton of targets for Golden Tate in this spot. So if I'm going to that 6K range at wide receiver, Golden Tate would probably be the guy I'd target. I prefer him over Dez. I think I'd prefer him over Stephon Diggs too. Even though Diggs has a really nice price tag, I'd just rather go to Golden Tate if you're going to that price range. And the value at wide receiver, I think there's plenty of value as well at this position. Jamison Crowder, first off, 5,400. I think Jamison Crowder, pretty good value play today. I was on Crowder last week, did have him in cash. Did come through for me. He got 8 targets in that game, got 7 catches for 72 yards, 14.6 DraftKings points. Crowder did see a pretty high increase in price. He was 4,300 last week against the Saints, and today he is 5,400. But I think just given the amount of targets Crowder's going to see, definitely want to target him here, going up against the Giants, who just can't defend anybody right now. So Jamison Crowder at 5,400 makes a lot of sense if you need a little bit of a cheaper play at wide receiver. Same thing with Josh Doctson at 4,700. I think Josh Doctson makes a lot of sense as a cheap wide receiver as well on the slate. He's also been seeing a ton of targets as late. The targets have just been really consistent. In his last 3 games, 5, 7, and 7 targets, has put up 8, 7, and 12 DraftKings points. So if you need a cheap value play on this slate, I think Josh Doctson definitely going to be a guy we want to target. He's just been really consistent lately. He's been seeing a ton of targets. So if you want to go to him, I think he makes a lot of sense at 4,700. And then obviously guys like Tyrell Williams, Ryan Grant, these are guys you can target for tournaments. I don't think they make a lot of sense if you're playing cash games. But for tournaments, you can kind of consider anybody on a 3-game slate. So if you want to go to guys like Tyrell Williams, Ryan Grant, Cole Beasley, if they catch 2 touchdowns somehow, they're probably going to win you a tournament. But for cash games, I don't think they make a lot of sense. So I'm really looking to pay up here, go to this range like Golden Tate, Jamison Crowder, Doctson. I think these are the more optimal plays. But yeah, that's it for wide receiver, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to tight end. All right, so at tight end on this slate, I think there are really 3 options that really make the most sense at this position. First off, Evan Ingram up top, going up against Washington. Definitely a good spot for Evan Ingram. We know Washington has very good corners, but you can definitely hurt them up the middle with tight ends, so it is a good spot for Evan Ingram. He is coming off a very disappointing game against KC last week where he only got 1 catch for 9 yards, but did still see 6 targets in that game. That was a pretty disappointing game from Evan Ingram. Sterling Shepard was not active in that game, so I was expecting Ingram to see close to 10 targets, if not more than that. So the fact that he only got 6 targets and 1 catch for 9 yards is pretty disappointing. I think this is definitely a bounce back spot for Evan Ingram, so if you can fit him in at tight end, I think he's definitely in play. But I'd actually probably prefer just going $600 less and going to Vernon Davis against the Giants if Jordan Reed is out for this game. We know the Giants cannot defend tight ends. They have struggled just defensively against tight ends all year. So it is a great spot for Vernon Davis. I think going $600, saving the $600 and going to him does make a lot of sense. Like I said, the Giants just can't defend tight ends. They've struggled all year, and Vernon Davis has been playing really well with Jordan Reed out. He's been seeing plenty of targets, been producing. So if Jordan Reed misses this game, Vernon Davis at 5,500 would probably be the tight end that I prefer on the slate. Then obviously guys like Jason Witten, Kyle Rudolph, Hunter Henry, you can consider these guys for tournaments, but I think tight end you definitely want to pay up here and either go up to Vernon Davis or Evan Ingram. If you do want to go cheap, I think the guy I would prefer be Hunter Henry at just 3,300 against Dallas. I know Hunter Henry really hasn't been performing well lately, just hasn't been doing much. In his last 3 games, he's only put up 3, 1, and 4 DraftKings points, so really been disappointing. Has only seen 2, 2, and 5 targets. But if you need the savings, he would probably be the guy I would target at tight end at 3,300. I prefer him over Kyle Rudolph, probably would prefer him over Jason Witten. But I think tight end's definitely a position you want to go up to Vernon Davis or Evan Ingram. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for tight end on the slate. Let's go ahead and move on to defense. All right, so at defense, we got 6 options on the slate. Obviously, the best option on the board is the Redskins. If you can just pay up for them, just go ahead and do it. They're playing at home against the Giants. The Giants suck. Eli Manning is not a good quarterback. He turns the ball over a ton. He takes a ton of sacks. So the Redskins are the best defense on the board if you can fit them in. 3,600 is a pretty high price tag to pay, especially for the Redskins defense, but we only have 6 options, so if you can pay up for them, I think they're the best play on the board. They'll probably be the highest owned, so if you want to get a little contrarian, go down to the Vikings. They're definitely in play. The Vikings do have a very good defense. Matthew Stafford, although he is at home where he does play well, Stafford will still turn the ball over. He will take some sacks. So saving the $300 in some tournaments, if you want to get a little different, go with the Vikings at 3,300. I think they are a good GPP play. And then if you need to save a defense, I think people might actually look to save a defense on the slate, so that way they can fit in some of the studs. And I think if you do want to save, the defense I would probably roll with would be the Cowboys at just 2,500 going up against the Chargers. Dallas is playing at home, so I think they'd be probably the cheap defense I'd want to target if you want to go cheap. They're only 2,500, very nice price tag. And defense is so random, you can really play any defense. If you just pick the defense that goes off, could win you the slate. Obviously, I would prefer to pay up for the Redskins if you can, but going to the Vikings, I think they are good in tournaments. Going to the Cowboys, I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe even the Lions up against Case Keenum. But obviously, you want to pay up for the Redskins here if you can. They're definitely the best play on the board. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for defense. I think that's pretty much it for this video. This video is probably going to be pretty short just because it's a 3-game slate. There isn't much to talk about. But anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you did enjoy. And be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. If this is your first time watching a video on my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Would definitely appreciate it. And if you did miss my first looks at the Week 12 main slate on DK, make sure you check that video out. I uploaded it earlier today on Monday, so make sure you check that video out after you get done watching this. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Good luck on the slate, guys. Peace.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, she shaking fast. Yeah, she dropping slow. What? Yeah, neck on fro. Whoa, 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 whoa.